Hello, everybody, and welcome, or not really welcome, because this is an awful video. Um, there has been a tragedy in the area of the country in which I live, Idaho. Um, some psychopath started a fire to bait in firefighters and police and started shooting them and killed two and shot several. One's in ICU right now, I believe. And this all happened yesterday. And I've been on my local Facebook groups and I've been seeing everything that's being said about him. And one of the horrifically weird things that's happening is the left is spinning this into his parents were right-winged, just like everybody in Idaho. Therefore, it's their fault that he had access to guns, and therefore his fault that he would have that kind of mentality to do that. And I just need to tell everybody on the planet something about Idaho. There is nothing on this planet that we value more than firefighters in Idaho. Police? Nope. Servicemen? Maybe side by side. But in Idaho, firefighters are our daily heroes. They're the people that we look at every single day and go, yep, that's a dude that saves everybody in this state's lives. Idaho doesn't burn like other states burn, and that's because of our firefighters and how amazing they are, and all the support that we give them. There isn't a single Idahoan person that would ever do this. And then I look online, and big surprise, he was born in Russia, lived in New York, lived in Florida, lived in Arizona. And I'm sorry, but those states have extremely high crime rates. Even Florida, a red state, like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like all red states are perfect. Florida has an extremely high crime rate, an extremely high violent crime rate. So does New York and Arizona. More liberal states. But also things that have come out of this is that his parents were originally divorced, and that the biological father was a violent criminal as well. And the reason they got divorced was because he threatened to kill the mother of Wess Roley. Roley wasn't his original last name. Once again, the mother remarried. And then there's pictures of the two parents wearing MAGA hats outside of the White House in Washington, D.C., and they're obviously very Republican. And people are saying that's the reason he did that. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't take much but a quick look around on CNN or some of the other more left-leaning news sites to see the fear-mongering, to see people saying that Trump or something like that is going to take away your rights and use the police to enforce that rights. And so everybody's rioting in these blue states for no reason. I'm sorry, but it's just another political cycle. Like, Trump isn't much different than any other president. I mean, sure, he's advocating for cutting wasteful spending and trying to make tax cuts. It's like that's why the right supports him. That, and he doesn't want to impede on our Second Amendment. Like, that's the thing. You can't just point at situations like this and be like, oh, you need to disarm the populace, or the opposite side of the aisle is bad. It's like, I think pretty obviously the kid was a radical leftist, but I'm not going to sit here and disparage every single liberal that has ever existed just because I know there's some bad eggs out there. I mean, there's probably more bad eggs on the left than the right. I mean, they self-admittedly have almost an 80% mental illness rate. So I mean, I don't really like to classify people either way, and I'm quite the centrist myself, but I typically vote Republican because I believe in common sense policies. Things like cut wasteful spending, lower taxes. That's something I love. That's something that affects my life in a positive way if we can get it going. That's why I would vote for that. I am also a gun owner, therefore I'm going to advocate for my Second Amendment right because I don't abuse my Second Amendment right. I haven't gone hunting in about 7 years, but you know, I do enjoy it sometimes. I just haven't needed to do it for a long time. So I don't really do it. And some people do it for fun, and that's a good thing too, but if you're taking your gun and you're intentionally bringing it somewhere to hurt somebody, you're a god-awful fucking person, and no one else is really to blame for your actions. That's the thing that really bothers me, is the people on the right are like, okay, this person's a fucked up person. They did some fucked up shit. They're a bad person. Glad they're gone. But people on the left are sitting there being like, that's what happens. That's what happens when... when you're a Republican, your kids kill people. That's the 100% gonna happen thing. It's like, no. Most school shootings are done by kids raised by leftist parents and honestly have nothing to do with that. It's more usually to do with the fact that they're on literally a handful of medications. Like I assume this kid probably was. They're not talking about it, but they are talking about how he was arrested and put in jail for attempted murder, but it got dropped down to an assault with a deadly weapon charge or something like that, and he only got 6 months. So keep in mind, this dude should have been in fucking prison if our judicial system worked better. Like, it's inexcusable, and you can't blame the parents. You could easily blame the judicial system. You could easily blame the fear-mongering of the left. But in all reality, you just need to sit there and objectively look at the child and go, maybe he had a genetic predisposition towards violent psychopathic snaps, because that's what his father did. I don't think that excuses it either. And I don't agree with... like, if you really disagree with something, you should attack that thing directly, not random people who are trying to help people. That is absolutely horrifically disgusting what he did. And I feel terrible for all the people that basically even had... for all the people who even had to crap their pants to worry about whether or not their husband or their brother or their sister or whoever was out there was okay for that period of time. Like, I feel so hard for every single person that's a service member, or not a service member, but people who basically serve our state out of the goodness of their hearts. Like, I have at least 10 people that I know in my life that are volunteer firefighters or at a higher capacity firefighters. So to sit there and think that this could have been one of my friends, it freaks me the fuck out. And this is not stuff that normally happens in Idaho. Idaho has an extremely low crime rate. Extremely low. And it's because we all take care of each other. Everybody knows everybody. I mean, and a lot of our crime is attributed to the larger parts of our state. Places like Boise. It's like Coeur d'Alene has fucking no crime. Coeur d'Alene is one of the safest towns in America. Literally. It is a beautiful place to live, but recently it has been overrun with people that are not from our state. And that might sound like I'm being like xenophobic in a way, like, oh, just keep Idaho, only Idahoans are good. But the fact is like our values are quickly being lost because of the fact that there's tons of Californians, Arizonians, New Yorkers, just people who don't share our viewpoints and don't share our core values coming into our state and doing terrible things. Like the murderer who killed people at University of Idaho. Guess where he was from? Pennsylvania. You know, because of course he wasn't an Idahoan killing Idahoans, because that is such a rare occurrence. Like, that is... I can't think of a time that it happened in my lifetime. Granted, I'm probably definitely 100% ignorant of at least one occasion, but to sit there and say that, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I've lived in this state my whole life, and obviously anytime something like this happens, everybody in the entire fucking state hears about it. Every single person in the state hears about it. It's because Idahoans really truly care about each other. Like, we might flip each other off or have our little rivalries or our feuds, but we definitely don't want to see our neighbors get hurt, especially not the ones that are firefighters and servicemen and people who donate their time to make our state a better place, a safer place to live. And then they get attacked for literally no reason. And on top of that, he started a fucking forest fire. Like, that is... Idahoans do not start forest fires. If an Idahoan sees you dragging your chains in our state, he will pull your ass over and wrap your chains for you, because we do not put up with that crap. We do not want to end up like Washington, where our government is neglectful and doesn't clean our forests, and our people are stupid and don't know how to prevent fires. I swear, in elementary school, we had firefighters come in several years of elementary school and teach us how firefighters fight fires and how to prevent firefighters, and not just like Smokey the Bear crap, like actual the firefighting chiefs come in and show how fire lines are dug, and how helicopter units are deployed, and how they scoop up water, and what they do, and what to do when these things are going on around you. Because our state, not only is our state, you know, super good about taking care of our fires, our state takes care of other states' fires too. When California caught on fire, thousands of those firefighters were Idahoan firefighters. Because that is something we care about. It's practically in our blood. I wasn't born in Idaho, but I was placed here young enough to fully assimilate to the culture. And the culture is magnificent. There is tons of Mormon, Catholic, Christian. I mean, and I've recently moved to a more populated town, college town, with lots of diversity. And the Muslims and the Hindu people around here are all extremely polite, family-oriented, just good people looking to make a buck, looking to learn something, you know, looking to have a nice, peaceful life. Idaho is where you come to get away from this garbage. And unfortunately, that truth has existed so long that now the garbage has straight up ended up in our front porch. That's why you're going to see people on Facebook and other places, Idahoans, getting extremely angry about this and this happening. Because it was not an Idahoan destroying Idaho. It was not a MAGA freak, you know, running around trying to be some sort of virtuous or something like that, thinking he's some sort of martyr or something. This is literally the fear-mongering of the left taking actual effect in my home state. This is the fear-mongering of the left killing people. And I think 100% those news anchors and those reporters and those people that have had to retract their statements basically all year because they keep saying things that are untrue and getting sued, I think they need to be fully held responsible as what do they call it? When you incite violence. It's like they need to be convicted of hate speech, because the way they talk about Republicans and Trump literally freaks leftists out to the point to where they think they're actually in physical danger. And this is what they do when they're sitting there going, "Oh, I'm worried about this." I mean, honestly, this doesn't even seem like this seems like a literal psychopath just going and doing what psychopaths do. There's also reports on him being trans. There is a picture of him in a dress, and I guess I should use the they pronoun, but it's not actually confirmed. And I think it has very little to do with the actual notes. I mean, there's a very high mental illness rate in the trans community, even if you don't count gender dysphoria as a mental illness. And I don't want to say that directly associates violent crimes or hurting themselves. But there has been a lot of stuff like this going on. And it's happening more often and more often, and it is more often associated with kids that have been either heavily medicated as a child or transitioned at a young age. I read a thing that it said 90%. It's unconfirmed, but it said 90% of school shootings are done by kids that are heavily medicated or going through treatment for not gender dysphoria, but like things that they associate with that, and severe OCD and stuff like that. So they get heavily medicated and put on downers and uppers, and then downers and then uppers, and then the chemicals in their brain go haywire, and then they find a gun and they kill somebody. And then every time they kill somebody with a gun, someone points at anyone who owns a gun or anyone who supports the Second Amendment and says, "See, that's why we don't need a Second Amendment." But the fact is that we do need the Second Amendment. Okay? The only reason America even exists is because Americans exercised their Second Amendment and stood up to tyrannical government. If the day ever does actually come where we have a dictator in office, I know, say whatever you want about Trump. Oh, he's a bad person. But fact is he's just another president in a long line of presidents whose real job is to keep the peace and make some money if he can. Like, let's be damn real, okay? Obama didn't do anything other than that. Bush didn't do anything other than that. Clinton didn't do anything other than that. Freaking Robert F. Kennedy didn't do anything other than that. Nobody did anything other than that. That is a president's job, is to make sure that the world doesn't blow itself up and to probably, hopefully, make a little bit of money and maybe give your people a tax cut. That's all a president does. Okay? And all this virtue signaling and saying, "Oh, I support this or I support that," it doesn't mean anything. That's just people trying to accrue voters. Okay? Chances are they don't even align with left or right. Okay? Any common sense person is basically a centrist, because the left is completely extreme about some shit and the right is completely extreme about some shit. Granted, I think the left makes less sense, but that's just a subjective opinion. Like, this doesn't even need to be politicized. What this needs to be done is looked at, prayed for, and learned from. Okay? Next time somebody attempts to murder somebody, lock them up for a long time. For a long damn time. Because chances are they're going to go out and try and murder someone again, which is exactly what Wess Roley did. That is 100% exactly what he did. He took one step out of jail and fucking went out and killed somebody. Like, we need to be more cautious. Any sort of violent crime needs to be at least a year, no less. Like, if you intentionally try and fucking hurt somebody, you need to be punished. Like, I do not agree with that. Like, if I don't even agree with like showing up to a bar with a chip on your shoulder. Like, that's just a recipe for disaster. Let's be completely fucking real. There's no reason to walk around being violent all of the time. And to try and slap policies or politics on one side or any side to try and justify the violence of somebody is actual delusional psychopathic behavior that's right in line with the same shit that they did. Like, if you think who the president is justification for hurting your fellow man, you're a psychopath. You do not deserve whatever rights you have because you are a complete psychopath. The president has nothing to do with your state's politics 95% of the time. Okay? So if you live in a liberal state and you enjoy your liberal laws, well, that's probably not going to fucking change anytime soon. The only thing that might change is if there's a tragedy occurring, like LA County catching on fire, the president might step in and make you put the fire out. That's about as deep as state and federal governments go. Okay? And it's like Florida banning trans athletes and stuff like that. That was a Florida decision. Like, yes, Trump made an order, but it's still up to a state-by-state basis. And the only consequence that the federal government can even do to you is taking your federal funding away. And when they take your federal funding away, you are not as tough anymore. Let's just say that. You're not going to be talking all that trash that you were talking 10 minutes ago because you just lost millions and millions of taxpayer dollars from across the country. And if across the country we don't want something, then that needs to be the rule. And if you don't want to follow the rule, then you need to take the responsibility for that. Okay? Idaho likes to follow a lot of the rules, but we don't follow some of the rules, and therefore we lose federal funding. Idaho is one of those states that does not have a lot of federal funding, and it's because of the way we operate. We are a right-to-work state, okay? America doesn't really like that. America prefers unions. Okay, so we lose federal funding for that. We have our own independent agriculture system, completely independent of the way that America does their bullshit. It's like, we lose federal funding for that to our farmers. It's like, that's why when Donald Trump was elected president, you didn't see Idahoan farmers crying. It's because we didn't lose any funding, really. I mean, you could sit there and pretend like we did. And there's a lot of articles I see coming out that's saying like, oh, farmers are mad. No, farmers are not mad. Farmers are deeply in love with Donald Trump because Donald Trump will not touch what farmers have. Like, literally, he says, I want less government regulation on farmers, less taxes on farmers. I don't know a single Idahoan farmer that doesn't support that. And honestly, I've never met a farmer who wouldn't support that kind of stuff. So you could say it's all politicized if you want to, but the fact is that Idaho exists in its capacity for a reason. Idaho is red as fuck for a reason. It's because everything we do is red. Okay? And my wife's parents are outfitters, for instance. Okay? If the Second Amendment went away, they lose their jobs. Like, we vote red for specific reasons. Okay? But I've done way too much laughing and joking around in in this video that is about a tragedy. The names of the firefighters haven't been released that I can find, but God, I pray for them and their families. And it is Idaho losing firefighters to anything but fire. Even losing firefighters to anything, period, is one of the most horrific things for Idahoans as people, because there is nothing we love more than our firefighters. And losing our firefighters to some psychopath for no fucking reason, it's disgusting. And to see these, I mean, they pretend they're Idahoans, but they're either Washingtonians or Californians that sit there and go, literally they just say MAGA in the comment section. That's all they say, is just MAGA. Like, because your brain automatically makes the leap, right? Oh, MAGA, therefore gun violence. It's like, not how it works. Not how it works at all. It's just a sick, disgusting thing that people who are obsessed with politics do. This is not political. There's nothing political about this. It's just a psychopath acting like a fucking psychopath. And there's no good to be found in blaming anybody, the parents or whoever the hell, because chances are it was a genetic disorder or something like that. Or maybe only half of the kid's brain was functioning or something. Or maybe he was literally propagandized and radicalized. And I think there needs to be some responsibility for that. Somebody needs to take some responsibility for radicalizing the populace and causing riots and causing people to lose their freaking minds. Like, someone needs to be responsible for that. In the major news media, someone needs to be held responsible. Like, that is completely ridiculous for them to be spreading lies and telling people that, you know, President Trump's out to get ya. Like, that is sick. That is absolutely sick, and this is what happens when you say stuff like that to sick people. Anyway, that's all I have.